word problems is where we're going to be at today. We're going to be talking about how to do systems of equations, how to apply them to real life situations. So 4 steps, very similar to our word problems that we did before. Define the variables, write your equations, solve it, and then answer it, okay? And so we're actually going to do a couple of examples together, and then I'm going to let you work on part of those, and then we're going to also do a couple of more examples, okay? So I'm actually going to start down with number 5 today, okay? So start by defining the variables. So we got to read the question first. The sum of 2 numbers is 20. The difference between 3 times the first number and twice the second is 40. Find the 2 numbers, okay? So here we need to define the 2 numbers, and we're going to use x equal the first number. We're going to let x equal to the first number, and we're going to let y equal the second number. Okay, those are going to be our variables. That's step 1. All right, step 2, we need to create the equations. Okay, so we're going to use these sentences as a translation. Okay, so the sum means that we're going to add the 2 things together of the 2 numbers is 20. So x plus y, the first number, plus the second number, those are the variables we're using to represent them, is equal to 20. That's the first equation. Okay, the difference between 3 times the first number and twice the second is 40. So difference means we're going to be subtracting the difference between 3 times the first number, so that's going to be represented as 3x, and twice the second number, so that's represented as 2y, is equal to 40. So those are the 2 equations that we're going to use. Now, you got a few different ways that you can solve these. Of course, you can solve them as doing them with substitution method, elimination method. You could even get graphing paper and graph them. It does not matter to me what process that you use, which method. I just want you to be able to solve them and find the solution that works. And so this is the point where I'm going to choose to do, I think I'm going to do a substitution method. So I'm going to subtract y over here, and I'm going to have x is equal to 20 minus y, and I'm going to use that in this second equation. So 3 times, instead of x, I'm going to use 20 minus y, minus 2y is equal to 40. Okay, and so this is what I'm going to solve, is this equation right here. So that's 60 minus 3y minus 2y equals 40. I'm going to combine my like terms and get negative 5y. Then I'm going to subtract this 60, and I have negative 5y is equal to negative 20, divide by negative 5, and I find that y is equal to 4. Okay, so on these you're probably going to need some extra paper because you don't really have a lot of room here, so notebook paper might be helpful for this. Alright, second thing we're going to do is take this value and plug it back in to find x. So x plus, and instead of y we're going to use 4, is 20. And so to find x we subtract the 4 and we find that it's 16. And then of course you got to plug those back in to check yourself and make sure that it's correct. And so very quickly we'll plug those in. X plus y, so 16 plus 4 is equal to 20, and that's true. And then we're going to plug these others in. 3 multiplied by 16 minus 2 multiplied by 4 should be equal to 40. And 3 times 16 is 48, and 2 times 4 is 8, and that does equal 40. So those 2 things work. Sorry about that, you couldn't see what I was writing. And so the last step is step 4, which is to answer it. Tell exactly what the problem is asking for. And so in this case, it's asking to find the 2 numbers. So the 2 numbers are 16 and 4. Okay, and so that is your final answer on this problem. Okay, all right, so that is one example of a problem that you might see and how to use these in a real life situation. Okay, so I'm going to skip to the next page and we're going to do number 10 together. All right, this one is going to be more real world than just find two numbers. So first step is going to be to define the variables. So at a sale on winter clothing, Cody bought 2 pairs of gloves and 4 hats for $43. Tori bought 2 pairs of gloves and 2 hats for $30. Find the cost of each. So we are looking for, we're going to let X equal the cost of a pair of gloves, and we're going to let Y equal the cost of a hat, okay, because that's the 2 items of clothing that we're talking about here. And notice that it's the cost that we're looking for, so the cost is what I'm going to let be my variable. All right, step 2, let's create some equations. So again, we're translating here. Cody bought 2 pairs of gloves, so 2 times the pair of gloves, plus 4 hats, 4 times the cost of a hat, and it totaled $43. So that's our first equation. Then Tori, second equation, bought 2 pairs of gloves and 2 hats, and it equaled $30. Okay, and we need to find the cost of each. So again, solve it however you want to. I'm going to solve this time by elimination. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this equation by -1, and then I'm going to go ahead and add those 2 equations together. So the first one, 2x plus 4y is equal to 43, and then I'm going to multiply the second one by -1. So -1 times 2x is -2x, -1 times 2y is -2y, -1 times 30 is -30. And then I'm going to add those together. That cancels. 4 minus 2 is 2. 43 minus 30 is 13. And then I'm going to divide by 2. And I find that y is equal to 6.5. Okay? And so now I need to find x. And so to find x, I'm going to plug that into one of these equations. So 2x plus 4 and y was 6.5. And that equals 43. And then I simplify, and so that gives me 26. And then I'm going to subtract. And if I subtract that, I get 17, I believe. That's correct. Yes. And then I'm going to divide by 2. And so I get that x is going to be equal to 8.5, 8.5. Okay. So now I found my 2 variables. Now I need to double check to make sure that they work, so I'm going to plug those back in. So here's the original equation over here. I'm going to do 2 times 8.5 plus 4 times 6.5 and check to make sure that that equals 43. And so that gives me 17 plus 26, which is 43. So that works. And then the second one, 2 times 8.5 plus 2 times y, which was 6.5, let me plug that in, should equal 30. And so that's 17 plus 13, and that does equal 30. Okay, so our solutions work. So the last step is to write the answer, and it's asking for the cost of each. So the cost of the gloves is, and we're going to use the unit, and in this case it's going to be $, so we need to make sure that we write it that way. So the cost of the gloves is $8.50, and the cost of the hat is $6.50. And that's going to be our final answer on these. Okay. So, so again, just a good practice for how to solve these, but also how to create those equations. And we got to know how to do that. That's part of being in algebra is learning how to create an equation and plugging in unknowns and things like that. So we're going to pause there, and then we'll do another video with a couple more examples.